Hello and welcome to Northeast Tonight, the show that decodes the region. I am Wasbir Hussain. The Northeast is likely to see the signing of two peace agreements in the near future, one with the Isaac Muiwa faction of the National Socialist Council of Nagaland or the NSCN-IM, and the other with the United Liberation Front of Assam or ULFA. The peace accord with the NSCN-IM is expected to bring the curtains down to the Naga problem that is as old as India's independence, and the agreement with the ULFA is supposed to end a nearly 4 decades old insurgency in Assam. Now, there are two aspects that need a thorough deliberation. One is whether permanent peace will be restored in the Naga areas and in Assam if the peace accords are signed with the NSCN-IM and the ULFA. The answer would be unlikely because in Nagaland, several other Naga rebel groups, mainly the Kaplang faction of the NSCN or the NSCN-K, are active, while in Assam, the ULFA independent, led by the exiled Paresh Barua, is still flexing its muscles and engaged in occasional hit-and-run strikes on security forces. The second question that arises is whether the rebel groups like the NSCN-IM and the ULFA are justified in keeping the common people in their states and areas in the dark about the shape or the content of the impending peace agreements. Is it too much to expect the rebel leaders to at least discuss with their people the broad outline of the agreements? After all, the rebel leaderships have always maintained that whatever they have done over the years is to further the interest of the people they represent. In the absence of any light thrown on the peace deals, the people will be left with no option but to see what the deals contain only after they are signed. Well, to discuss the subject, I am joined by ULFA General Secretary Anup Chetia. Former Union Home Secretary Mr. G.K. Pillai joins me from New Delhi. In Kohima, I have Mr. Jhakie Kate, General Secretary of the Angami Youth Organization and an analyst. In Imphal, I have Mr. Johnson Ilangbam, former President of the United Committee Manipur and a social activist. And at our studios in Guwahati, I have Mr. Sunil Nath, former ULFA publicity chief and now a well-known political commentator, Dr. Akhil Ranjan Datta from Guwahati University and Dr. Rakhi Kalita Moral from Cotton University. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. I'd like to go straight to ULFA General Secretary Mr. Anup Chetia. Mr. Anup Chetia, you have said just 2 to 3 days back that the peace talks between the ULFA and the Government of India has reached the last stage. Will you be sharing some details at least with the common people in Assam?
Yes, generally we have to disclose all the things which was going on in the discussion table with the Government of India, Government of Assam and United Liberation Front of Assam. But at the very initial stage, I cannot disclose all the things because there is so many factors. Somebody can try to disrupt our peace process. Therefore, due to this some ideologically condition, I cannot disclose all the things. But we are raising the issues which was prepared by the Jatiya Abhivartan. One convener committee was formed under the leadership of Honorable R.R. Dr. Hiren Guhai. They prepared the charter of demand. According to that charter of demand, discussion was going on, and I like to pass some comments that there is some constitutional safeguard, political safeguard, and what is called this land rights for the indigenous people of Assam. But
Okay, you have just given an indication. I will try to come to you for more details on that. You have said constitutional safeguards, land rights and some other issues which are likely to figure in the agreement, but that is very, very sketchy, Mr. Anup Chetia. I'll come back to you. Mr. G.K. Pillai, you had been the Union Home Secretary and you have closely followed developments in the Northeast. Mr. Pillai, two peace accords are now in the offing in the Northeast, Naga Accord and the ULFA Accord, but the common people in both the states are totally in the dark. almost about these agreements, and they have absolutely no idea about what these agreements could bring them, although all insurgent groups say that they are working or have been working for the people of the respective areas or states. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the two accords, the one on with the ULFA and the other one with the Naga peace talks, they're two different, shall I say, completely different issues which are on the table.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that I think government needs to be far more transparent in its deliberations. There is a need for secrecy, no doubt, but now that the issues have all literally, nothing is really secret anymore.
Absolutely.
You really need to have a public discussion on some of the outstanding issues so that it is possible to get public opinion on the side of both the government as well as the militant groups to come to a peace settlement.
Okay, that's a very significant point you are making, Mr. Pillai, that there is need for public discussion, there is need for suggestions to seek public opinion on the various issues that may ultimately come up in the agreement that is signed. After it is signed on the dotted line, we really can't do anything much about it. Let me go straight to Kohima, where I am joined by Mr. Jakie Kate, well-known social activist. He is also with the General Secretary of the Angami Youth Organization. Mr. Kate, welcome to Northeast Live. As you have heard, the ULFA General Secretary said it is difficult for him to disclose. The former Union Home Secretary, Mr. G.K. Pillai, who knows the Northeast quite well, he said that it has to be shared, it should have been shared with the people to seek their opinions. As a prominent Naga youth leader, Mr. Kate, what do you think? The common Nagas are not really aware as to what is going on in the peace negotiations between the Government of India and the NSC and IM.
Well, Mr. Hussain, thank you very much. I think, you know, before when you asked the question, I think you have precisely answered the question as well. Because none of us are aware of the content of the agreement as to what is going to be the fate of our destiny in our future. And we don't know anything about what is going to be, or as I've said earlier, since we don't know anything about what is going to be the fate of our destiny and future, I think the framework agreement that was signed between the Indian government and NSC and IM, I think I will not hold Indian government entirely responsible or NSC and IM entirely responsible. But over the years and many agreements since 1947 up till today, I think there is an unseen ploy. There seems to be a sense of suspicion against the Indian government as well, against the Indian government perhaps, that there seems to be an undercurrent, you know, a ploy sort of thing which Indian government is employing against the Nagas.
Right. But Mr. Kate, don't you think that the Naga people, for whose interest the NSC and IM and the others have been fighting for, don't you think the Naga people deserves to know at least basic outline? Yes, we can understand that the Government of India or the NSC and IM cannot share the entire peace agreement right now. But don't you think that at least some basic primary issues, need to have been discussed with the common people?
Well, yes, just some few months ago, we came across Kiren Rijiju's statement in Guwahati, where he stated very clearly that sovereignty is out of question, integration is out of question, and many other major issues that are demanded by the Naga groups are already dropped. And something very clearly, what he said was, according to the framework of the Indian Constitution, the Naga, that is the framework agreement, that is the Naga solution. Basing on those, within the framework of the Indian Constitution, the Naga political, Indo-Naga political problem. I will not say Naga political problem, I will say Indo-Naga political problem. This issue will be resolved. So, if it is going to be within the ambit of the Indian Constitution alone, then what is the basis of the Indo-Naga political problem that has been impending and considered as one of the longest insurgency problems in the world?
So, absolutely. I mean, the question the point which you have argued itself indicates that there need to be, or it would have been a little better for some kind of a dialogue. But I'll come back to you, Mr. Khate. Let me quickly go, before I come to my panelists in the studio, let me quickly go to Mr. Johnson Ilangbam, the former chairman of the United Committee Manipur, the conglomeration of groups fighting for the interest of the state in Manipur, also a well-known social activist. Mr. Ilangbam, since no one knows what is going to be the shape of the Naga peace accords, does it increase the apprehension among the people in Manipur, particularly the Imphal Valley?
It's very clear that we have been pressing on with this demand to the central government for the last 17 years or so, how the government of India center has especially gone through in this dialogue process, which was started way back in 1997, and as per the agreement which was signed in August 3rd, 2015, the framework agreement, it was told to us by the central leaders that it was only on two basic principles which this agreement was signed. One was that the agreement will be signed within the constitutional parameters. And the second is that the geographical positions of the northeastern states will not be altered under any conditions. Now, the contents of the framework agreement has yet to be finalized, and as of now, the agreement which our delegation, which has met the union, which Home Minister and Prime Minister as of now, is that any final settlement will not be conceived or will not be done without prior discussion with all the stakeholders, including civil bodies of the neighboring state. This is what we have been agreed so far, and the untimely, very apprehensive statement which came out on the 26th by R.N. Ravi, who is also the interlocutor, has put up the level of apprehensiveness to the valley, especially in the valley and the hill areas, that any speculative incidents might occur because of his unwarranted statement.
Absolutely,
you have some sort of structural formation in name of
Johnson Ilangbam. There, you have made a very important point: the secrecy surrounding the accord, or lack of clarity as to the content of what the shape of the agreement is finally going to be, that is leading to a lot of fear and apprehension among the minds of people in Manipur, particularly the Imphal Valley, particularly among the majority Métis. I'll come back to you, Ilangbam. I will come to Sunilnath last, because I want to take a sense of why it is so difficult for the NSCN-IM or the ULFA to come up with some details as to the agreement. Very quickly, Raki, what do you think? Why are people not disclosing anything at all? Or don't you think it was the duty? No, we cannot expect that from the government of India. Fine, they have the secrecy, they have got certain modalities, etc. But what about the rebel groups?
Well, Wasbir, yes, this has built up a kind of mistrust among both sides, and I think this is only being escalated by the fact that either side is not completely aware of what is happening on the table. Particularly, I think the people who've also been questioning whether the people's mandate is being carried forward in these peace talks, both on the Naga side and on the side of Alpha. And I'm wondering if this kind of, tactics and this kind of antics that are, being sent back and forth on the peace table, on the negotiating table, only ends up making peace and the processes of peace much more ambiguous than we would like them to be.
Much more ambiguous. This has the potential to make the whole process, there is lack of transparency and ambiguity there. Akhilanjan Datta, how are you looking at this?
I think the position being undertaken by Alpha leaders who are in negotiation with the government of India, I think this is not at all credible and healthy for certain reasons. If you look at how the peace process started, you remember on 24th April 2010 in Pragjyoti, cultural complex, Guwahati, around 2,000 people assembled, to facilitate the process of dialogue. Thereafter an expert group was created. I'm telling, I was a part of it. I was also part of writing the,
yes,
political,
you drafted
drafted that was changed, that was moderated, and it was re-examined, that was done. But person like me, who was part and parcel of the whole process of preparing draft, is also not aware of what is going on there
at the moment.
At the moment, I think this will only erode the credibility on the part of the leaders who are in the process of dialogue with the government.
I will elaborate, allow you to elaborate on this and also take a comment from Anup Chetia. But before that, Mr. Sunil Nath, why do you think it is so difficult for the NSC and IM and the ULFA to at least tell? See, no one is expecting them to come and give us a copy of what is going on there. Nobody is expecting that. You are not expecting. I am also not expecting. But one would perhaps expect them to come and brief the people, at least give a shape of things to come.
I agree absolutely, because ultimately it is the people who will be enjoying or suffering the destiny that comes out of these talks. It is not about a group of leaders who will be there to enjoy the spoils.
Yeah.
It would be the people. So, the people are the highest stakeholders. Even the government and neither the rebels are larger stakeholders than the people. So, without taking the people into confidence, first thing is that, like Akhil Dr said, it erodes the credibility of the whole process. Second, the very fruitfulness of this process, we cannot be so confident on it, because unless the people are agreeing to the proposals that come out, or the people accept the solution that comes out, only a bunch of leaders agreeing.
So consultations also leads to modifications. People can also come up with suggestions, and you can modify your clauses and provisions, isn't it?
Right, I absolutely agree.
Now, Mr. Anup Chetia, the Alpha was formed in 1979, as you say, to push or protect the interest of the people of Assam. Now, my question is, don't you think, and I'm asking you a little more direct question now, don't you think it is not necessary for you to tell the people in advance what they can expect from the accord and seek their suggestions? Mr. Anup Chetia.
You say, because right now we are in a process, in this stage, it will be not wise to disclose all the things. Therefore, I am very sorry to the people of Assam. I cannot disclose all the things, all the points, because going to repeat to you that there is so many factors. They may try to disrupt our peace process. Therefore, I don't want to. I am actually. I like to say to the people of Assam that yes, it was our duty to elaborate all the things, but we are very much sorry we cannot disclose all the things.
Okay. Okay.
So, but why am I telling that the credibility will be eroded? Because we need to remember the very context. Look at what is happening around the Citizenship Amendment Bill. When the whole people, different sections of the people are coming on the street and protesting against the move on the part of the central government, for amending the Citizenship Bill and, dismantling the kind of consensus around Assam Accord, the government is not listening to. Therefore, there is no trust on the part of the people of Assam on the government. Now,
no, but here, we cannot alone blame the government, isn't it? It's a negotiation between two sides, and neither side is telling the people anything.
That's why I'm telling. Now, Anup Chetia is talking about, for example, the constitutional safeguard. What does this constitutional safeguard will mean? He's talking about the land rights. Now, there has been huge transfer of lands to the corporate. He's also talking about the rights of the indigenous people. Now, these are very, very abstract and vague in terms of the discourses being promoted by the government. Therefore, I think there are a lot of challenges. If tomorrow they come up with an agreement, they come up with a peace accord that doesn't fulfill or that doesn't go to the level of the expectation of the people, whole initiative will not bring any solution to the people.
Right. Sunil Nath, you have heard Anup Chetia saying that, I am really sorry, I apologize to the people of Assam for not being able to disclose anything because somebody might disrupt our peace process. Do you think there will be any forces working out to disrupt this peace process? Do you think he's talking about ULFA independent, but at the same time, he says that Paresh Barua must come and join the peace process for permanent peace in the state. So, what do you think? What is your assessment? Why is he saying? Which is that force that could disrupt the peace process?
See again, if there is a force which can disrupt the peace process, then it's a stakeholder. Then it should be brought in at this level only, at this level of talks. Because if there is somebody who can disrupt the final solution, then he is a stakeholder.
Okay,
That
that's
is
a very
what-
good point.
Yes,
That's
what
a very good
always
point.
have always insisted on is that bring in all the stakeholders and let the people become the
So,
largest
do you want Anup Chetia to identify these forces? Would you like Anup Chetia to identify these forces?
Yeah, I would definitely prefer to.
Okay,
hear about.
okay. I mean, like Mr. Khate, Mr. Jakia Khate, Mr. Khate. You know, you have heard the ULFA leader. You have heard the ULFA General Secretary Anup Chetia is saying that, you know, I am really sorry, I cannot disclose anything because some people might disrupt our peace process. My question to you: do you think the same is true of the NSC and IM as well? Do you think there are strong enough forces which can disrupt the peace or impending peace in Nagaland? Okay, Mr. Khate, I think we have lost the line to him. We'll come back to him. Now, Rakhi, I mean, the same
like to
question goes to you. Do you think there are strong enough forces both in Assam and Nagaland? And as Sunil Nath very rightly said, if there are such forces, this needs to be identified and they must also be brought to the whole process right now.
Well, I do agree that, you know, the kind of secrecy or the kind of confidentiality that is being talked about or maintained is actually happening at the expense of obfuscating very important stakeholding details. And one must remember, and this is what I probably want to actually put forward, is that if the point of inking and stitching together the peace accord has come, we cannot forget the fact that this has been a process in which stakeholders should have been part of this exercise for a very long time now.
But
so
it's not that people didn't try. You see, the Naga Reconciliation Commission in Nagaland,
Forum for
Naga Reconciliation, the church, everyone, they tried all the Naga groups to first come together and unite and then talk to the government of India in a one single voice, but they did not succeed. Similarly, there are people still working to get Paresh Barua onto the negotiation process, but they have not succeeded.
I think, Wasbir, there's a problem there, and this has always been pointed out in why peace talks fail, for example, or why do they get so, you know, they don't go on a smooth track, is for the simple reason that even when we bring civil society in, there is the observation that groups, peace groups, or, you know, peace supporting groups who want to talk for the cause of peace, sometimes are too close to the rebels in order, so much so that they do not finally maintain a certain kind of objectivity and derail the process. So there is always a fear, perhaps.
Yeah, that is always there.
There's always a fear.
But one has to try. But there are genuine groups who tried.
Look at, you know, as Anup Chetia is arguing that if, you know, details are being, you know, disclosed, the whole peace process might be derailed.
Yeah.
But the point here is this: if because the whole process started with the people's assertions. You remember in April 2014, I was a part of it. We had to defend the whole conclave itself. There were a lot of allegations against the organizers, against Hiren Guhai and others, and so on and so forth. Now, if disclosing and discussing details with the people derail the peace process, let the peace process be derailed. Right. You know, before signing the accord, if it is derailed, you can start with it.
Yes.
But if it is derailed after something is being achieved, will be nowhere.
So that is absolutely. So you are more or less on the same page, you and Sunil Nath, at least on this particular point. Let me try to go once again quickly to Kohima. If the line is true, Mr. Khate, can you hear me now? Mr. Khate? Okay, Mr. Khate, can you hear me in Kohima? Okay, we are unable to get Mr. Elangbam. You have been hearing our panelist. So basically, they are saying that it is very difficult to disclose because there could be forces which could scuttle or sabotage the peace process. Some of our panelists in the studio are saying that if anyone wants to sabotage, let them do it right now before the accord is signed, and then people work overtime to derail the whole process. How are you looking at it from a distance?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the basic reason why the peace accord has peace process has failed, especially in the case of the Indo-Naga peace talk, is that the government of India consider NSCN-IM as the sole authority of the peace in the entire region. This is absolutely a lie, because so many other factions are also operating, which has tremendous amount of influence over the region.
Right.
So this is one reason, and they have realized it, and Mr. R.N. Ravi has well understood what they have done, what they have failed in the past, and now have taken all other also on board the peace process. Now, that the best part is, like, the contents of the final draft of the peace accord will have to be decided only in consultation with all the stakeholders, including all the from all the neighboring states of Assam, Arunachal, and Manipur.
Yes, final talks has to be decided. Just hold on to your thoughts. Hold on to your thoughts. I'll take a very quick break and I'll come right back. Don't go away. Welcome back. Going again straight to Kohima, Mr. Jakier Khate. Mr. Khate, you have heard ULFA General Secretary Anup Chetia. Anup Chetia said that, we cannot disclose the details because some forces could actually sabotage the whole peace process. My question to you, Mr. Khate, is this. Do you think the same applies to Nagaland? Do you think the NSCN-IM is also worried that somebody could sabotage the peace process? Or are there such strong forces that can sabotage the NSCN-IM Government of India peace talks?
Well, I don't necessarily thought so, because I think I have missed a lot of discussion that was transpired because of the technical problem earlier. However, I think there is no such thing as some people will come and sabotage the peace process and stuff like that. I think at this point of time, I think it calls for the sincerity on both the Indian government as well as the NSCN-IM and the other Naga political groups to honestly and sincerely tell the people that these are the issues that we are discussing with. These are the issues that we can, possibly make it, we can implement it and make it possible. And these are issues that we cannot discuss, and these are issues that we cannot handle.
Yes,
I
agree.
think as long as
Mr. Khate, I am fully agreeing with you. I am fully agreeing with you. My only question: what about the stakeholder? The main stakeholders are the ordinary Naga people, are the common Naga people. My question is very simple. We have not taken the opinion, we are not telling the common Naga people anything as to what we may get. So that is only my concern. So how will they respond? How will their suggestions be implemented later on after the accord is signed?
True, right. I think that we are treading on a very dangerous thin line out here when we talk about that issue, because there are people, generations upon generation of people who have shed their blood, given their lives, and fled their homes for years upon years, and they have suffered a hell lot of miseries in their life already, with their grandfathers, their parents, and their anything that can be spoken of. Now, when it comes to an accord and the present accord, the danger is how are people going to respond to it, basing on many issues and challenges that they have already faced in the past in connection with the present secret agreement, and an agreement that was considered as a secret, for example, Shillong Accord. And there are people undercurrent, once they are bombarded with this agreement, which we are not aware of.
Yeah.
The danger line is how are they going to respond? I think
absolutely.
This is a very crucial
that is the moot point. How are the common people going to respond? Mr. G.K. Pillai, personally, don't you agree that at least the outline of the agreement, the broad points need to be laid bare before the people in the form of consultations on or whatever?
Yeah, I agree. I think they should say that there is a certain element of agreement which has been reached, and I think what they should really concentrate upon are the issues which are outstanding, because if you look at the Naga peace accord, there are issues with the state of Manipur, especially in the valley with the Meiteis, and they need to address those issues as well as the issue of autonomy in the hill districts. And there is no real open discussion, and the tendency is that it just keeps on saying discussions are continuing. But I think it is important to bring out what are these issues, what are the concerns of the Meiteis in respect of land and so on, and how those can be resolved, so that you can get a far more, what shall I say, a varied solutions to the problem if the public are also kept in the loop.
Right. Right. Mr. Ellenbaum, you have heard G.K. Pillai making a very important point, that the opinion of the Meiteis. You know, my question is, recently there was a suggestion that, okay, there can be a Naga Autonomous Council or Territorial Council in the hill districts to, you know, to give a certain amount of autonomy to the Nagas in Manipur. So, that has not been taken very kindly by the people in the valley. So, how are you looking at it, the issues, the concerns of the people in Manipur, particularly the Imphal Valley?
Wasbir, first of all, I would like to clarify that the ongoing framework agreement should have confined to the state of Nagaland only. But the sad part is now it has been what you call a problem, especially targeting the one majority group. I again repeat today to all the viewers of your TV channel that this is not an issue of one community, one majority. It's an issue of Manipur, because Manipur was never a part of the Indian subcontinent or Indian Union. It was much late as 1949. We were a different political entity. There was no hill valley reef. It is only a concocted and created, fabricated story which has been scripted by someone organization, some vested groups.
Naga issue should be confined within the state of Nagaland. I don't really understand the logic behind you saying that Naga issue should be confined within the state of Nagaland.
Ellenbaum, respond. Ellenbaum, respond.
Well, it's quite clear. It's a prerogative. It is the prerogative of one individual to speak in his own line. But to be very frank and outright, is that Manipur was never part of the British India. It was only in 1949 that we became a part of the Indian Union.
I'm not speaking on my individual prerogative. I'm speaking basing on the rights of our people as a Naga nation and as a Naga. Because you cannot deny the fact that there are Nagas living in Manipur. Are you going to deny that there is not a single Naga or their land in Manipur?
But Ellenbaum, that is a very
Ellenbaum, clear, because
it's Johnson Ellenbaum. That's a very valid question.
You may accept it or not. And this is Wasbir. Let me just interrupt him. Let me just reply to him that this is one of the basic reasons why this framework agreement has been installed, you know, as of now, because the decision which the government of India must take must also respect the political aspiration of a nation, country, or which has existed for nearly 2,000 years, which has a written history of 2,000 years. The political aspirations of these people cannot be undermined. So the unique history of Nagaland, which was started way back somewhere in 1929, cannot match or match up with a political history of 2,000 years of written history. This is ridiculous that we have told the central leaders, whatever you have to do in terms of the kind of autonomy that you have mentioned, right for the very inception of the Manipurian Council.
I think we are not here to talk about historical lessons and to give 2,000 years of history and whatnot. I think border communities have coexisted, you know, be it in war or peace, have existed for so many of these
with
years
all due courtesy, I just to mention you, with all due courtesy, I just mentioned to my dear friend from Nagaland, Nagaland, that all the hill regions were a part of a what you call basic administration, which was existed way back in 1905. All of them were under the Maharajan Council. You know that. All of them were living under one administration. And this has been what kind of concocted tales from where I don't know.
True.
The best part is after the formation of 1963.
Elengbam, my question to you, but what are you going to do? There are Nagas in Manipur. There is a provision, there is a plan, there is an idea to give an autonomous council to the Nagas. So should you have a problem to that? Nobody is asking about breaking up Manipur. People are wanting to give, as we all understand now, nobody is talking about breaking Manipur into two parts. People are now saying rumors that the Nagas in Manipur will be getting an autonomous territorial council.
I'm coming to that. If you go through the memorandum that we have submitted, if you go through the memorandum that we have submitted to the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of India in 2015, right, just after the framework agreement was signed, that we are obliged and we are happy that a final settlement to the Naga peace talk is about to come in Nagaland. That we have also said in our memorandum. And about the autonomy that you have mentioned, just after the formation of the state, the statehood that we have reached in 1972, and much before that, when we were existing during the pre-merger state, there is a separate administration of the hills. And in 1972, there is also another autonomous district council, 1972, which is in place. Now, all the hill areas in Manipur have been given full leverage of their cultural, traditional values has been protected and led to the best emancipation of their freedom of practicing.
Okay,
so
let Mr. Khatia respond before I come to my panelists in the studio. They have not spoken for a long time. Let Mr. Khatia, what is your response?
The question of
let Mr. Khatia, yes, Elengbam, you have made your point. Let me quickly get a response from Mr. Khatia. Yes, Mr. Khatia, what do you say to what Mr. Elengbam has just said?
I think there are so many autonomous councils that were, that were given again and again and again, time and again to the Nagas in Manipur and elsewhere as well. However, the point here that I'm trying to make in refutation of your point with all due respect is the point that you raised about Naga issue and Naga settlement should be confined within the state of Nagaland. And in that question, the question that I raised earlier, do you mean to say that there is not a single Naga person or a village or a community in Manipur? I think let us keep the history aside. Let us try to bring our issue closer home and say, because Assam or Nagaland or Manipur, Meiteis or Nagas or Kukis or Assam, I think these people, no matter whether you like it or not, we are going to exist together as neighbors today and tomorrow as well. And in fact, even in the past, and the welfare of the Nagas' interest, or the welfare of the Meiteis, what does it matter? As long as it is in the benefit and welfare of Meiteis,
these are very interesting points. But there is also an issue of territorial integrity of the respective states. Now, when you say that Nagas living in Assam or Manipur have to be taken care of, their interests have to be taken care of, but in the process, the political authority in those respective states have to be taken into confidence. Now, if all these processes being distrust and mistrust among the people and among the political stakeholders, the peace process will not move ahead. It will create only distrust and disharmony among different communities living in the region. So, we have to be very careful when we are talking that Naga issues should be or should be confined to the Nagaland or Naga territory. That needs to be debated in such a way.
Come in.
Yeah, yes. Please.
Come in.
Wasbir, can I come in?
Yes. Go ahead.
Wasbir, let us be clear that like the nomenclature issue, the Naga nomenclature which has been lately invented by the British, we acknowledge it, in the later stage. Now we have said, if some groups have self-proclaimed that they are Nagas, we have nothing to say. But
What do
as
you mean
per the administrative
self-proclaimed?
reports which has gone over 100 years, can you... No. Yeah, I go by the factual records that the administrative report of Manipur, which has existed for 100 years, if you can find one word called Naga, I think it will be the best part if you can produce it in documents. Now, there is nothing as such. In the history of Manipur also, we have known the Mao as Mao, the Tangkhul as Tangkhul. And no, that is not an issue. What the issue is, whatever the central leaders have made to the NSN leaders has not been disclosed at all to others, other stakeholders of neighboring states.
That is the point.
This is one of the sad part, you know, and
that is the point.
And also, the thing is, we have conveyed to the, through the interlocutor. No, we have conveyed to the interlocutor and also to the Home Minister whatever positions that in the government of India should take must be within certain limits. That limits we have discussed in length.
Right,
I think the government of India knows what they have to do.
Now, the road looks thorny, isn't it? It's not going to be a cakewalk.
Certainly not.
I'm
also worried. My fear is that in respect of the Alpha particularly, it appears, and with wide reports coming from all over the state, the foot soldiers, the real stakeholders of the Alpha, have also had vast differences with the leadership over what exactly to ask for and what the Charter of Demands must accommodate. And it is common knowledge now that the Charter of Demands and its original formulations have actually really disintegrated into a very cosmetic kind of formulation at this moment.
Absolutely. Quickly go to GK Pillai. Mr. Pillai, I mean, I'll take the response from Mr. Kate, whom I would like to have on the screen. Mr. Pillai, coming to Nagaland, what could be an acceptable solution within the constitutional framework in Nagaland? Will it be something of substance, or do you think it will be just symbolic, like a separate flag for the Nagas, or allowing the Nagas to write Indian bracket Nagas in their passports? Do you think it will be something symbolic, or do you think the solution ultimately will have substance? What are your sources telling you?
No, I think at least to the best of my knowledge, in the Naga peace accords, the real stumbling issue is now what I call as the unresolved issues in Manipur.
Absolutely.
And the rest of the issues are more or less settled. There is a broad understanding between the Government of India and the NSE and IM. That broad understanding needs to be shared with the people. And we need to bring out those issues which are now holding back the accord, shall I say, for the last, 4 years, since I left in 2011. The bulk of the discussions had taken place when Mr. R.S. Pandey was the interlocutor. And we had reached almost, I should put it something like about 95% of the deal was agreed upon. Now, the issues with Manipur remained unresolved at that time. Now, I think there's been enough time for those issues to be actually put on the table rather than keep it, shall I say, below the radar and hoping that a solution will come. It will not come because you need a wide public acceptance for the decisions that will need to be taken now in the future.
I will take the opinion of both Mr. Kate and Mr. Ilangbam. But before that, one more question to you, Mr. GK Pillai. You know, the NSC and IM might still get the opportunity of its leaders assuming charge of an interim government in Nagaland after the accord is signed, and then face perhaps regular elections. But what about the Alpha leaders in Assam? What can the Alpha leaders claim by way of victory? What can the Alpha claim by way of victory, Mr. Pillai?
See, I think if you look at the Assam issue, I think there has been a lot of developments which have taken place over the last, say, 20 years in Assam. If you look at in terms of initially the development lack of development, if I may put it, that issue has now more or less been resolved to an extent that you've got now an IIT in Assam,
Yeah.
you've got an IIM in Ahmedabad, you've got the Shankar Deva Foundation, you've got infrastructure coming up, airport is being developed, new airports are coming up and so on. So a lot of the development issues have got tackled, and I think like for any other state, there will always be outstanding issues, but that part of it has been tackled. What has not been tackled, I think, is the issue of purely the illegal migration, which is partly being tackled by the NRC determination. And then you've got the constitutional safeguards for preserving the integrity of the indigenous people of Assam, and that issue is still outstanding.
Mr. Sunil Nath, I will take this question to, I will ask Mr. Anup Chetia to elaborate a little bit what could the accord actually can have. But you know, I was asking this question to Mr. Pillai, I didn't get a clear answer, Mr. Pillai. NSC and IIM can at least hope to get the opportunity to lead the inter-government, okay, like Laldenga did, or others like the Bodoland Territorial Council, Hagrama Mohillare, even Profula Mohanto transformed themselves into a political party, contested elections and became chief minister. What can the Alpha expect out of this accord? Situation is completely different in Assam.
Well, that I do agree. The situation is completely different, and we are not in the 80s or early 90s where Alpha carried a lot of people's support with it. So today, when Alpha is into talks with the government of India, the best thing that they can do is to get some sort of constitutional safeguards for the indigenous people of Assam,
right,
which the people of Assam are directly feeling the need of now. The people of Assam, you have seen on the streets, they have all come out because of this 2016 proposed amendment.
Yeah.
This amendment, if it is indeed made into law, will definitely threaten the linguistic identity of the Assamese people.
Right. On the basis of this constitutional safeguards and this safeguarding the identity, do you think the ULFA has the potential to transforming themselves into a political party, Sunil Nath?
Well, frankly, I don't know, and I don't bother, because what Alpha becomes is none of my concern. What I'm concerned is what happens to the people of Assam.
Yeah, Mr. Anup Chetia, you said in Delhi just about 72 hours or a little more than that you will consult with legal experts to sort out a few things. What are some of the issues that need further consultation? You also said that you are at the last stage. Mr. Anup Chetia.
Because that will take a decision by the government of India. They will go to the legal expert.
The government of India will consult legal expert. Okay, not you.
As like what is called constitutional safeguard. Regarding that point, they will discuss with the expert of the legal advice.
Okay, they will discuss your demands which you have placed.
In our part also, still the land rights, regarding the land rights, because it is Brahma Commission, they have submitted two reports. One is Rohini Kumar Borua and another one is Hussain Brahma. We like to study that report also. If there is any points to be included, we can include in our charter of demand, then which will be help for the indigenous people of Assam. Therefore, therefore I like to meet Honorable Rohini Kumar Borua and Honorable Hussain Brahma also. We like to collect some suggestion from them.
Now, you are talking, Mr. Anup Chetia, you are talking about constitutional safeguards. Will your constitutional safeguards be what is the expectation in the Assam Accord, or do you think it will be much more than that?
There will be something different.
Okay, Ranjan Datta, there will be something different. These constitutional safeguards, which Sunil Nath has also said that is maybe their only claim to victory, and Mr. Anup Chetia has also said that constitutional safeguards is not what one is expecting out of the Assam Accord, but something different. What do you make of it?
No, see, I think that's the point of contention. Now, what does it? What are the differences? What are the fundamental differences? In Assam Accord, we talked about the constitutional safeguards, but we didn't elaborate what does constitutional safeguard exactly mean. Now, as Anup Chetia has pointed out, they are not also very sure about what does constitutional safeguard mean. Rather, the government of India will discuss with some legal experts. Therefore, the point of contention is this: lot of ambiguities are there. We do not have a proper framework while negotiating with the government. When you are negotiating with the government, for example, 371A could be a model for that, as it is the case with Nagaland, or there could be other models, or there has to be very concrete references. For example, you have the central list, you have the union list, you have the state list, you have the concurrent list. Now, you can also point out that these are the particular components or particular items which are there in the union list will not be applicable in case of Assam, and those will come under the state list. Are you providing any framework even at the stage of negotiation? When you are very sure about what will the constitutional safeguard will mean, I think it will be very, very disappointing for us.
True. That is what is concerning the people in Assam. But quickly once again to Nagaland, to Mr. Khate, you have heard Mr. G.K. Pillai saying that 95% of issues during discussions with the NSC and IM and the Government of India have been resolved. The only unresolved issue which he believes is the issues relating to Manipur. I want both of you to respond. First, Mr. Khate, do you think that is the only bone of contention, the issue of the Nagas in Manipur?
I don't know. I'm not sure whether this is the bone of contention, or this issue or that issue is the bone of the contention, because we are not aware of what is transpiring in the process of the discussion, in the negotiation. And as Sir Mr. G.K. Pillai has already mentioned, that 95% of the issues, substantive issues in the peace process has already been settled. Then I'm sure only 5% are already left to settle the Indo-Naga political issue. Now, what are those 95% that are being discussed, over
that is the
more
point.
than 18 years? These are issues that we are not aware of.
That is what
concerning
that is the reason. That is the whole purpose of this
earlier.
debate. That is the whole purpose of this debate. That is the question I wanted to raise today in this discussion. It is extremely important for ordinary people like us, including journalists like us, to know, so that we can bring this to public discourse and discuss as to what is the moot point. Isn't it, Mr. Khate? We should have known basic things. We are not expecting to know the whole thing, at least the highlights.
Just make a point.
True. Right. And I think I'm sure, and I'm very, very sure that there are many issues that cannot be discussed in public domain.
Absolutely,
in
I
a
agree.
Big, discourse such as this. I'm sure there are, but there are issues that can be honestly told to the people, and they can solicit public, opinion and consultation as well. Maybe not necessarily that, but at the same time, they can also tell the community who are.
Absolutely. Yes, Rakhi, you want to make a point, and I'll go to Elengbam and take a break.
These are issues that
Rakhi, very quickly.
It's very clear from the discussion and the way it is unfolding that at this point, both on the Naga side and the side of Alpha, a set of intangibles have come up. On the Nagaland side, shared sovereignty is an uncertain idea, just as resource ownership, I think, in the case of Assam, still seems fuzzy to us.
Absolutely. Elengbam, your quick comment, and then I'll go for a very short break. Yes, Mr. Elengbam.
Well, Wasbir, I am very confused, and we have reiterated our position to the central leaders that the so-called Naga inhabited areas, if you practically look into it, I think it is mostly populated 50-50 of different ethnic base communities. So it is also impossible in practical lines to identify one particular area of one ethnic in the name of one ethnic nomenclature. This is absolutely not going to happen. Manipur has been living since for the last so many years under one principle of peaceful coexistence. The very reference of this kind of ethnic nomenclature to one particular region or area is going to create another spiral of violence in the state. I think this is very delicate, and this kind of matter has to be addressed by the central leaders.
Absolutely.
Deeply. I think that is my point.
Central leaders need to address this issue. On this note, I'll go for a quick break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Mr. Khate, you know, the question is, now, you know, Mr. Elengbam has been talking about so-called Naga inhabited areas. He is saying that even those areas which are described as Naga inhabited in Manipur, he is saying, Mr. Elengbam is saying that there are a lot of other communities we stay. So that contiguity, that the size of the area, these are the issues. So how are you looking at it? Will a solution, a territory-less solution, be acceptable to the Nagas? What can be an acceptable solution? Of course, the government of India has also made it clear that the territorial integrity of the states is not going to be disturbed. Then what is the solution according to you?
Well, I think it is very clear. When it comes to Manipur, as much as we cannot deny the fact that there are, unlike some other people who are denying the fact that there are some Nagas living, there are Nagas living in Manipur, I would agree to the fact that there are also other communities apart from Meiteis and Nagas who are living and existing and have been living in Manipur for a long time ago.
Yes. And
I think that is absolutely an undeniable fact. And at the same time, when it comes to this final agreement or whatever agreement that we call it as, I think there are two issues involved here. Two issues in the sense that land and people. Land should be first and people should be the second. And these are two points that needs to be the very basis of the framework agreement or whatever agreement that what we call it as. And I think separating people from land and land from people, I think there is no issue in it anymore.
No, but
and so
one interesting,
I think as simple as whatever.
One interesting question which I cannot resist asking you, Mr. Khate, I have to ask you, at least for the sake of my viewers. My question is, we are talking about Nagas from Manipur and we are talking about Nagas in Nagaland and of course other places. My question to you, Mr. Khate, is a very, very interesting question which everybody would like to know. Now, suppose there is an interim government. As the leader of the NSCNIM, it has to be Mr. Muiva who should take over as the chief minister. But he will not be from Nagaland, he will be from another state. Will that create a problem? Have you ever thought of it? Are the Nagas thinking of this? Or that is not important?
Completely. Absolutely true. Absolutely. You are absolutely right. You understand the dynamics of Naga politics as well. There are Nagas in Burma, there are Nagas in Arunachal, some in Assam and Manipur as well. And all this is the dynamics of Naga politics. Okay, one fine day during the British administration, you know, Treaty of Yandabu, and then Nagas were divided into two nations, one inside Burma and the other inside India. And another fine day, you know, we found ourselves in a position where we were divided into 4 states again, into Nagaland, Manipur, and then Assam and Arunachal. And now, when we talk about Naga issue and settlement of the Indo-Naga political issue, I think I stated very clearly earlier as well about involving people and land. And these two entities are inseparable and indestructible. And if at all these two entities are to be separated, then I think there is no basis of any solution. And coming to your question, with the situation that Muiva being from Manipur and the settlement to be imposed on Nagaland or to be brought to Nagaland state alone, I think that is unacceptable.
Oh, that is unacceptable.
And it will not be accepted.
So you have said it very clear that Mr. Muiva cannot expect to become the interim chief minister of Nagaland, right?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Nagas in Manipur also should be included as much as other Nagas, you know, in other states should be included.
Okay. That is what you were saying. Okay, it should be an agreement encompassing the Nagas in Manipur as well.
True, right.
But I think that's a very interesting
Right.
argument. If you say that you cannot, bring a division between land and the people, and if Nagas living in Manipur or Nagas living in Assam or for that matter in Arunachal Pradesh and elsewhere, and when you think in terms of solution to the Naga Indo-Naga problem, are you suggesting that territorial integrity of other states will be compromised? Khate.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think no inch of Arunachal land, or not even 1 inch of Arunachal land or Assam land or Manipur, Meitei or Kuki land, I think is being insisted by Nagas to be incorporated into the scheme of the Naga political agreement. I think no Naga should do that, and I think we are not insisting that. And I think you know, if we do that, even on Naga's part, you know, if we are to do that, then I think you know, I'm not going to be a part of it. But as much as the historical precedents that has occurred in the past, and now having to come across so many peace processes and then coming across the table and trying to resolve the issue, are these not issues that we should be discussing about? Are these not historical precedents and mistakes that has been committed in the past that we are actually in the peace process and to discuss and sort it out? And I think as much as Assamese respect Arunachalis and Nagas respect Meiteis, I think that room should be created.
Elengbam, what is your response? That's a very nuanced.
I have stated earlier.
That is a very nuanced response, nuanced remarks by Mr. Khate. How do you like to react? Elengbam.
The basic philosophy, the universal philosophy of land and people are inseparable is applies to every community. And the so-called Naga inhabited areas has been populated by both Kukis, Meiteis, Nepalis, and Nagas for last 100 of years. Now, on the basis of that cosmopolitan structure, if you trying to draw a ethnic line, ethnic division based on this ethnicity for a separate administration, it is almost impossible, and also this is going to be unacceptable to us, because this all this region has come through a series of nation building process as one nation theory, one nation. So we cannot compromise this process of civilization, the concept of one nation theory that we have existed so far. And anything which compromise or interfere into these basic pre-existing features of Manipur will not be accepted. And it is our clear advice to the central leaders not to do anything which may compromise these compromising these existing features that Manipur has existed for so many years till today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think both sides are making their points extremely strongly. At this point, let me ask, since we are talking about the possibility of an interim government in Nagaland, Mr. Anup Chetia, will the ULFA form a political party, and what is going to be the role of ULFA leaders like you, Mr. Aurobindo Rajkhwa and others after the accord is signed? What will be your role? Mr. Aurobindo Rajkhwa's role once the Assam accord, ULFA accord is signed? Mr. Anup Chetia.
Still, we are not decided to form a political party. After signing of the accord, we'll decide after discussion with the people of Assam. If people of Assam that they support us, then we will think what we will do after the signing of the accord.
Okay, you are not ruling out. You are not ruling out the possibility of forming a political party.
Because one thing is that still we are doing politics, but our politics was quite different. Definitely, we have to do, because our duty to do for the people of Assam. We lost thousands of our cadres or thousands of our peoples, and the people are also sacrificed their lives, their economy, they face lots of trouble also. Definitely, we have to do something. But in this way, we cannot do anything. Definitely, we will think about it. But right now, we are not thinking to form a political party. Let's situation will what's the demand, then we will take the decision.
Right. Now, Sunil Nath, we have seen, in the northeastern arena, basically is the only political party, only militant group which has transformed themselves into a political party and now being in power constantly is the Bodoland People's Front. Now, in Mizoram, MNF won one term, they lost, they won, they lost. It has not been consistent. And as far as the DHD is concerned, they were completely routed in the North Kachar Hills Autonomous Council elections after the signing of the DHD accord. So, what do you think? Do you think that ULFA stands a chance if they form a political party? Do you think they will do well?
Well, I'm not sure, and I don't think it's desirable, because as it is, the regional camp in Assam is quite weak now. So, any further divisions in this camp, I don't think it's desirable. So, if there has to be a regional political camp in Assam, it only stands some chance if it is unified and
Unified.
unified and stands together. So, all Assam people who think that regional politics should be given a chance should come and be unified and fight unitedly.
Okay.
I think that formation of a political party by the Alpha leaders who are in the process of negotiation will not have that much of impact. If you look at, and I was raising the question in the very beginning, the way the negotiation process is going on without involving the different stakeholders who indeed played a very important role in facilitating the whole negotiation process. Therefore, the whole process now, the negotiation process does not have, this is my individual opinion, does not seem to have that much of credibility. Because they are not involving the stakeholders in a very transparent manner. People are not sure about, and people, I don't see that people are very much bothered about it, and that itself shows that they are not enjoying that much of credibility today.
Right.
Therefore, my request, my sincere request to Anup Setia and all others, you involve the stakeholders. Now you are in the process of negotiating with all other organizations here as far as Citizenship Amendment Bill is concerned. You are negotiating with ASU, you are negotiating with Jatiyotawadi Yuva Chhatra Parishad, Krishak Mukti Sangram Samiti, and so on and so forth. And they have been having a lot of demands of their own.
Right.
If you can incorporate the demands of those organizations and make it a combined kind of effort to negotiate on behalf of all these organizations and all, I think that will bring some credibility to the whole negotiation process.
Absolutely.
Like
Now, yes, please, very quickly.
Well, my request to Anup Setia would be, what he is doing individually, in his individual capacity, he should lead his organization into it collectively, because the way he is interacting with other regional forces and he is into depth, like when the people of Assam are fighting against the so-called amendment, he is in the forefront of it.
Yes.
But he is in his individual capacity only.
Yes.
So you want that he should use this
be
part of the organization,
Alpha
part of the collective.
forefront of the Assamese.
Okay, that is your suggestion to Mr. Anup Setia. Now, Mr. G.K. Pillai, what happens if the NSCN-K or the ULFA independent were to say after the peace accords are signed, suppose the Naga peace accord is signed tomorrow and the ULFA peace accord is also signed, and after that suppose the NSCN-K and the ULFA independent says, okay, we are now ready to join the peace process. What happens then? You had been the Home Secretary, therefore I am asking you this question, what are the possibilities, what are the options with the government? Can there be separate peace accords with these organizations later?
I don't think so. I think now, at least insofar as the Naga peace accords, I know we are very clear. The agreement will be signed only when everybody literally puts his signature on the agreement. That is, all the groups, the Naga, Ho-Ho, NSC and IM, NSC and K, everybody has to sign on to the agreement, and then only there will be an agreement. So how that process is going to be taken before the formal signing is a matter that is slowly to be worked out. But Government of India has very clear views of how that will go on, and that has been shared with the NSC and IM also.
Right.
Insofar as Assam is concerned, you only have this small faction of the ULFA which is still with Paresh Barua in Myanmar, which is holding out, if I might say so. I think by and large, put it as almost 99% of the people have given up on Paresh Barua in Assam. They are now looking forward. And if the NRC and the constitutional safeguards issue is resolved, I think Paresh Barua will then have nothing to stand upon.
Okay, before going to Mr. Khate, Mr. Anup Setia, now you have heard Mr. G.K. Pillai. My question to you is very simple. You have been saying of late that, you have been saying always that Paresh Barua must come and join the peace process. You have said this very recently as well. Now do you honestly think that Ulfa independent leader Paresh Barua will ever join the peace talks or ever come forward for peace talks? Mr. Anup Chetia.
Because I believe that this arms revolution will be solved through the negotiation. Because Paresh also believed that there should be some negotiation. Without negotiation, this problem cannot be solved. I believe that Paresh Barua will one day, if government of India give him the real respect and proper respect his points, definitely I believe that definitely he will come to the peace process.
So, that's a very interesting point which he made. He said that government of India must give due respect to Paresh Barua. That means, he means to say that government of India must initiate perhaps a serious initiative to bring the Ulfa independent leader Paresh Barua to the peace process. And now, Mr. Khate, Mr. G.K. Pillai was saying that, the Naga Hoho and other stakeholders should also put their signatures in the Naga Peace Accord. But do you think that is possible? Because they have not been part of the dialogue.
Well, Naga Hoho and other civil organizations, and perhaps Naga Hoho particularly, is undeniably, as you are aware, a broken body today. Many tribes are not in the organization, in the Hoho.
Yeah.
There is Eastern Naga organization, there is Naga Hoho, and there is also United Naga Council in Manipur as well. So almost every the biggest civil organization, the Apex organization, is somehow in a broken piece right now. And most of the tribes, of course, the Indian government interlocutor R.N. Ravi, as well as the Naga Hoho, the NSCNIM has been in consultation with different organizations and the Hohos as well. However, the real question is how about dealing with the real Naga people, on the ground, on the grassroots, because I may be a leader in one organization as a representative, but by discussing with me alone is not going to ultimately.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to decide anything for my people, because I have to consult with my ranch, my villages, my clans, and Naga society, as you are aware, is based on in a very systematic social strata, where every opinion has to be respected and to be listened to, starting from the individual and then onto the family, to the clan, to the khel, to the village, and then onto the ranch, and then onto the tribe.
Oh yes.
So these are intricate realities that we have to deal with first.
Now, your last words. I'm running short of time, Mr. Elengbam. Your last words. Where is this whole thing heading?
Well, the government. Yeah, the government of India should now look into certain areas so as to increase the efficiency of administration in the hill areas, where the people of the hill regions have been deprived of the basic economic rights, the political rights of so many years by the consequent elected political leaders and also by some underground outfits. Now, this has to be overcome by stringent government policies, which can be reflected based in the existing Autonomous District Council Act of 1972. I think once that is done, I think the kind of sensation, that the feeling which has been unnecessarily being cropped up by some vested circles will definitely come to end, and a long-lasting peace in the whole region of Manipur will come through.
Okay, Mr. Elengbam there. Now, Mr. G.K. Pillai, what do you think will be the impact of the Naga Peace Accord and the Ulfa Peace Accord on the rest of the insurgency, on the rest of the insurgent groups which are still active in the region?
Well, I think if the Naga Peace Accord is signed and there is lasting peace in Nagaland, I think you will find that most of the other militant groups will also come forward to sign agreements, peace agreements.
Okay, Akhil Ranjan Datta, your last words.
I think I'll not talk about the Naga issue. I'll talk about the Alpha issue. It's important on the part of the leadership when he's proposing that if the due respect is given to Paresh Barua, he will be a part of the whole negotiation process. Now, the faction which is leading the negotiation should emphasize on the part that Paresh Barua needs to be made an integral part of the whole dialogue process. They cannot leave it to be another peace process under the leadership of Paresh Barua. This is one. Secondly, because Anup Setia has also been part of lot of other movements which are going on in the state, and he is also part of this integral part of different other stakeholders. He should associate these stakeholders into the whole process, not in the official level, but in the informal level, part of the whole negotiation process.
These are your two very, very concrete suggestions. Raki.
I think for the peace process to be mandated by a very robust support of the people, we have a right to know. Before it is too late, Alpha should realize that people have a right to know. And secondly, likewise, I am quite likewise with Okhil. Anup Chetia enjoys a very large and a popular base here. He's still widely seen, regarded as a moderate leader in the current Alpha leadership. And I think he can take his position far and wide and bring the people together on a common platform,
right,
which was suggested earlier
Absolutely.
by Sunil Nath as well.
Okay, Sunil.
Well, I would request Government of India to, if anything happens this time, there is a solution. The solution should not be ambiguous like the clause of Assam Accords, where like after 3 decades,
like the constitutional safeguards, no definition of Assamese.
Not even a definition of Assamese people.
So
Right.
Absolutely.
Instead of being cunning, I would ask our leaders and officers to be intelligent and helpful to the Assamese people and kindly protect our ethnic identity and
Absolutely.
provide us with well-being and well thought of safeguards.
Absolutely. All good conversations must come to an end, but at the end of the day, I'd like to tell both Mr. Khate and Mr. Elengbaum that we are all waiting for an acceptable solution to the Naga problem, which is, take care of the positions, take care of the interest of everyone in the Northeast. I think there is a lot of dialoguing still required, perhaps a lot of dialoguing still required between the Naga leadership and the leadership in Manipur, or the Meitei leadership. I think on that note, we will end this discussion tonight. Of course, there will be more discussions on this subject in the days ahead. On this note, I thank all my panelists for participating in this debate. Good night and goodbye.